Chapter 9. The following morning, Dr. Landerson ushered John into his office. "Sanders, let's talk." The door shut and a musty odor filled the room. "Is everything okay?" "Sure." Landerson's eyebrows, sprouting with strands of grayness, arched up at John. "Can I help with anything?" John shrugged. "I'm okay." "Patients are doing all right? Everything good?" "I think so." Landerson shifted some documents to another side of the paper heap, then picked up a form. His eyes scanned it. "I got a report on a little incident involving 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗓. Seems she was extremely upset yesterday. Made quite a few complaints towards you." John shifted his body in the hard chair and looked at Landerson's desk with its layers of file folders, loose papers, and blank forms. A few psychiatric journals peeked out. "There are hard days. You know how it goes." When he looked back, he expected to see a face of understanding. "Sometimes the residents have a rough moment." Dr. Landerson tilted his head and leaned back in his chair. "I know. But 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢𝗢." His voice seemed reserved. "I was surprised. Just working through some things." "What were you trying to do?" "It's all taken care of." Landerson's eyebrows again arched up. "I'm asking out of concern for you. Are you okay?" "Yes," John said, trying to slow down the defensiveness that had surfaced on the edge of his word. "If you want, we can work out a switch. We can take her off your rotation." "No," he said firmly. "I can work with her." "I know you can." "She's been doing well." John let a calmness coat his words. Dr. Landerson nodded. "She has." But a smile followed that appeared more sympathetic than pleased. "Thanks for your concern. I'll let you know if I need anything." John stood up. "I've got group in 10 minutes. The smile remained. "Then I'll take 9 of those minutes. I want to talk to you about something." "Okay." John slowly eased back into his seat. "This hospital has a great reputation." Landerson clasped his hands together, then laid them on top of his hill of paperwork. "Do you know how that's come about?" "Lots of reasons." A nervous energy released itself through John's fingers, like a metronome beating against his knee. "Dr. Gravers places a great deal of stress on all of us," Landerson said. "He wants us to be our best, and he wants Clearcreek to look its best. Part of the way we do that is to make sure we help certain individuals gain the support and skills needed to move forward, and as a result, prevent future hospitalization." "Okay. You've a lot of great energy and ideas." "Thank you," John said cautiously. "But," Landerson held the moment with a pause, "right now you've got other patients. In that group, there are others who can benefit more from your enthusiasm." "I'm not sure I understand." "Rebecca likes being Rebecca." John's finger tapping ceased. The musty odor, the scattered contents across the desk, this man, his superior, watching him closely. John noted this with growing discomfort, especially with this last statement. "What does that mean?" he asked. "The statistics for our recovery rate are very high. We know who to focus on. We know how to prevent unnecessary relapses because we know who to help." "All right." John folded his arms, the nervous energy shifting inside him. "And where does Rebecca fit in?" "Right now, she's not one of those." John drew his head back. "Shouldn't we be helping everyone?" Tension filled his voice. "Isn't that our job?" "Of course," Landerson said calmly. John tried to match the tone. "Then I don't understand." "When she arrived at Clearcreek, Dr. Gravers pointed out some interesting observations. She's a special case, and in response to that, we'll treat her as is fit for her condition." "So," John spoke cautiously, "you want me to change how I'm treating her?" "Dr. Gravers is an expert. He sees things that sometimes the rest of us would miss. When she first arrived, he picked up some key elements in regard to her illness. Like what? With her type of schizophrenia, she's in the bracket of hospitalized patients that don't improve. But there's still hope? The tenseness in his voice was back. Perhaps, Landerson said. But she'd need to make a lot of changes, and even if she were to improve, she'd require an extensive support network. She needs family, and no amount of therapy can give her that. Then let's look at other options. There are support groups that can provide that service. Sanders, listen to me. She's happy in the world her mind's created. Content. If we take away that existence from her, we leave her with nothing. No. John looked down at the desk. I don't see it that way. When he looked up, Landerson's face had softened. Compassion filled his eyes. Even if I could stretch out my hand and restore her sanity, he said, I wouldn't do it. She's better off exactly where she's at. But the words only spurred John to shake his head. As the clinical director of mental health, you're telling me to just let her be? If it were me, that's what I'd do. At least for now. Others can benefit from your efforts. Am I understanding you correctly? John leaned forward. You're saying not to concentrate on her needs? Dr. Landerson shot a look at his watch, then stood as if their time was up. But as he motioned toward the door, his voice held a tinge of sadness. Maybe it's due to my long years of experience, he shrugged. All I'm saying is that it might help you to accept that she gives us no choice. Right now, her fate's determined. The conversation with Dr. Landerson left John confused. No matter what, he couldn't accept the director's statement. Statistics were controlling Rebecca's fate. She'd been abandoned without a fair chance. But what were her options? By interrupting her delusions, by tampering with the intimate and fundamental function of her consciousness, would the exchange be nothingness? Would she be left with emptiness? During the routine of his day, John's mind battled with conflicting thoughts. By that evening, he was ready for solitude, a quiet spot where he could think clearly. As he drove away from Clearcreek, he discovered a small dirt road and an overgrown trail. He pulled out his hiking boots and trekked through the tangled brush. The breeze was crisp and fresh. The strong scent of pine filled the air. In preparation for winter, the trees were changing colors. Dry leaves had been rejected, cast off. John crushed those beneath his feet. This childish gesture, along with the noise of crackling leaves, brought back memories of a different lifetime. The pin. He remembered it fastened onto his mother's blouse, always there, every time he had reached for her hand. But the pin had disappeared. For years, he had forgotten it. Then, in his sophomore year in college, the pin resurfaced. He was home from college, visiting the family. During the trip, he had announced his plans for the occupation he would pursue. His father looked sad, then asked why. John looked at his mother and said, because someone was there to help our family. His mother looked away and his father left the room. An hour later, he walked by his parents' room. The door was open and his mother was there sitting on the bed. Was she crying? He was unsure. She held something in her hand. Are you okay? He asked. Come here, she said softly. He obeyed. Do you remember this? A letter V, the size of his thumbnail, rested in her hand. Can I see? John asked. She dropped it into his hand. John studied it. The letter was dark purple with thin gold rose vines wound around it. I do, he said. When I was little, you always wore it. Because I needed it back then. Where did you get it? He returned the pin back to his mother's hand. When I was sick, the hospital gave them to some of the patients. Did I ever tell you what it means? No. Victory. Victory? Yes, that's what the doctor would constantly say to me. Cindy, have courage, and then you can go forward to victory. She ran her thumb over the flowery V. In the beginning, I needed that. It reminded me all the time. Then I grew stronger. So you stopped wearing it? I did. Sometimes, though, certain things make me feel like I'm going to regress. This scares me. Oh, it was such a dark time. But somehow we all made it through. Now when I worry, I try and remember victory. It's this goal that keeps me going, gives me strength to keep working on being okay. In a moment of honesty, she was opening up to him, expressing her struggles. The person John had leaned on all his life was sharing her weakness. I want victory because I want to be the best. A single tear slid down her cheek. She brushed it away, but more followed. I really want to be the best for you, and for the family. You've done well, Mom. I'm trying. I want to help people, he said. Like how you've been helped. Then do. She wiped the tears from her face. Remember victory. I'm proud of you. You're doing well. He hugged her. I'm trying too.